All right, thanks very much. Another fun-filled edition of Pub Politics. Phil and Wes are here along with WACH News Director Brian Cox. We'll talk with Brian here in just a moment. I want to start, guys, with one of your most recent guests on the pub version of Pub Politics, and that is Will Fox, political blogger. Last summer, Mr. Fox coming out with allegations about a physical relationship with then-candidate Nikki Haley. She's come back and said at the time that she was faithful to her husband. He's responded by saying, I've got a tell-all book coming out. Wes, you talked with Will on the show Pub Politics. Your opinion, his motivation for releasing this book now, what can he stand to gain from this?
First off, let me just say that I'm very excited to be here on this tabloid news segment.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah, I mean, I thought our show was tabloid. Man, you know, I don't know why he's doing it. Honestly, maybe he just wants to prove his point. You know, he's kind of been humiliated all over even national news, saying, listen, you made these allegations, you have no proof. Who knows if he has proof? Maybe he's holding it back for the books. It could be monetary. Maybe he wants to make a buck off this scandal after his name, again, being all over the national news. Who knows what this guy's thinking?
And we should mention that Mr. Fox yet to provide tangible evidence of a physical relationship. Phil, the allegations did not hurt Haley at all in the race. Obviously, she's the governor now. How about going forward? Are Democrats eager to jump on this kind of issue and stoke the fire when it comes to a situation like this going forward?
Well, I think as you're putting forward the fact that the Republicans are in charge of the state, and this is just another example of another scandal coming forward that she has yet to deal with. So, you know, just to paint the picture of the overall environment of having one-party rule and the corruption that results of it here in South Carolina.
I want to go ahead and put something up on the screen, and that's why we have Brian here. Again, Brian Cox, news director with WACH Fox News. This was on Facebook over the weekend on the Nikki Haley Facebook page. WACH Fox 57 is a tabloid news station and has no concept of journalism. Now, this did encourage a lot of comments, both for and against, on that particular Facebook page. There's a comment from David Johnson. We'll put that up on the screen as well. The blogger has gotten tons of free publicity, speaking of Will Fox, of course, with his claims with no solid evidence. The only thing I see is a scumbag writing a cash register with the liberal press and good old boys in South Carolina more than willing to push it along. Now, again, on the other side, Brian Roberts responding to Governor Haley saying, well, you had a chance to end this before you got elected. You made a choice to be silent and not release the emails and text messages. I still voted for you, but lost a lot of respect for you. Like I said, Brian Cox, news director here at WACH Fox News, is with us. Brian, I want to go ahead and give you the opportunity to respond from the station's point of view to this situation and maybe to Governor Haley's claims
as well.
Sure,
Rick. Absolutely. You know, and I think certainly appreciate the openness that Nikki Haley has shown by taking to Facebook. You know, one of the first governors to really do that. But you know, it shows really the new media environment in which we now live, where one comment can instantaneously be out in the press. The story that prompted this, as you mentioned, over the weekend, Will Fox on his blog released what he calls an excerpt from his upcoming book, in which he allegedly outlines, again, what he says is the first time he and the governor had a physical relationship. The reason why we thought the story was newsworthy is that in the post, Mr. Fox essentially dares the governor to sue him for libel and says, I'm making these claims, you've said they're untrue, however, I'm making them again. If they're not, sue me for libel. He called her out. He dared her to sue. And, you know, from my perspective, that's absolutely a newsworthy event. You know, we in the media, our job is not to determine who is right and who is wrong. Our job is to cover the news. And we made the determination as a station that this was a topic of public interest. I think by the hundreds of comments to Governor Haley's Facebook page and the multitude of comments on Mr. Fox's blog and the station itself, it's a huge public interest. But the issue, I think, really touches on a much more fundamental perspective, and that is the role of the media in our society. Governor Haley ran on a transparency platform, and her criticism of the station, I think, makes a fundamental question about media and the role of media and what we do. And, you know, so to the people of South Carolina, I think that really deserves an explanation. You know, from my perspective and for all of us here at WACH Fox News, we work for you. The reason we exist is to ask questions and to relay that information to you. Every story we do is open for comment on our website, on our Facebook, on our Twitter page, and we ask, we encourage, we want to hear from you. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us if you think we're doing a good job. Tell us if you think we're asking the right questions. Tell us if you think we're asking the wrong questions. But really, at the end of the day, the average citizen in South Carolina, you can't come to the State House and question your governor. You can't go to City Hall and get an answer from your mayor. But in many cases, we are your voice. We're able to go and ask that question for you. And we take that responsibility very seriously. That's what we do. And so for politicians or for elected officials to suggest that asking a question is out of bounds, we simply have a fundamental disagreement with. That's what we do. If we get something wrong, we will apologize for it and move forward. But one fundamental point to Governor Haley. Since Governor Haley has declared her candidacy, we have covered more than 100 stories involving the governor. Out of those 100 articles, even now, there is not a single instance in which she has alleged a factual inaccuracy in any article at any point at any time. It simply hasn't happened. So our coverage has been fair, it has been credible, it has been accurate. The governor may take issue that we covered this story, but, and I think this is good for us all to debate now, as to whether politicians and public figures should have any role in determining what the topic is. Politicians' role and public figures' role is to answer questions, address, and to take issue fairly if we get a fact wrong. But we report fact, we discuss it, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because you guys obviously advise a lot of political candidates and current legislators as well. I mean, what kind of advice do you guys offer to these officials in situations like this?
Well, you know, I'm a political consultant. I also have an internet firm, and you even said that things are changing, and with new media. Governor Haley's been receiving some criticism about some transparency here in the last couple of weeks, but what could be more transparent than her going on Facebook and even bypassing the media and going straight to voters? Brian, you said that you can't just go up to the governor's door. You can't. Not everybody can get up here to Columbia, but you know what? You can log on to Facebook, and you can ask the governor questions, and she can respond after midnight on Facebook like she did here. I think this shows a personal side to Governor Haley. It shows that she is a person. She's on Facebook, and she's listening. And as a political consultant and an internet consultant, I would tell her to keep doing what she's doing, because I think it's fantastic that you can just get online and talk to your leaders.
Taking the specifics out, does any sitting elected official, though, if you're going to fire a salvo, say, against a media organization, can you win doing that?
Well, it's the old saying: you don't pick a fight with people who buy ink by the barrel and print and paper by the mile. You know, the same thing with TV. I really don't think it's a win-win situation for Haley. I mean, we're going on this for the day 3 now, talking about this story. I think that she should have just kind of kept her mouth shut and let the story just have its process of one day.
Well, I'll say this. Phil said it was an old saying, and it is an old saying, and it was a true saying whenever newspapers and old media mattered. All right, I'm not saying that you guys on TV don't matter, because TV is still around. Newspapers, on the other hand, isn't. But it shows that there is a fundamental change happening right now. And yeah, you can go on the internet and pick fights with mainstream media, because you don't have to have the media like you used to communicate with voters. Now we have the technology where people can communicate with them directly.
Well, what about this one question, if I may? Because I've had, you know, I noticed some of this actually on the Facebook page and some emails that we've had about the premise of, you know, Governor Haley is one, but multiple lawmakers during the past election cycle who ran really seizing on the public spirit of transparency and accountability. Those buzzwords really across the nation were a big deal this past cycle. And as you say, the democratization of the media, Facebook, Twitter, websites, anyone can really share their voice. But, you know, Governor Haley now being a month into office, what do you say about that situation of so quickly having a spat?
And I know Phil's going to disagree with me real fast. Let me jump in here. I think transparency, this idea of transparency, has gone too far. People aren't going to be happy until our leaders are literally going around with cameras in their foreheads so that you can see everything happening. Nikki Haley is being extremely transparent. That doesn't mean that the voters need to be in every single meeting she has. We call these people representatives for a reason. We elect them to represent us so that we don't have to be in all those meetings. And we elect them, and we should trust them to be able to go into a private meeting and cameras not be there.
Mm-hmm. Well, going back to your question was, she's been getting a lot of flack from the press and from voters about her lack of talking to to the press and not returning phone calls to the press. We talk about the new media where she can directly talk to the voters. That's a one-way street. I don't recall any feedback, any response to anyone from her to her Facebook status on Twitter. And it's a one-way street where she can just put out the message that she wants, that's been controlled, that's been developed, and put it out there.
Well, I have two things.
And not face any questions.
I haven't gone back to look at this specific comment, but there is plenty of times where Governor Haley responds to people on Facebook. And I would also argue with a message, I'm just looking at the paper here, a message that goes out at 12:30 at night. I doubt that would be a controlled response or a controlled Facebook message. This looks like Governor Haley tucking her kids in and watching some TV and getting on Facebook is what that looks like to me.
Well, it's the age we live in, so well, I'm sure we'll run into more of this as we go along throughout the.
Rick, you've been very generous with your time, and if I can just say one thing to
absolutely.
the public in a general sense, who may have a question as to why we cover what we do. In this particular situation, we've had a lot of question of why we continue to ask questions here, and I think just very briefly, Mr. Fox has made allegations. They're up until this point unsubstantiated. However, he has said, Governor Haley, in some emails, legislative emails that we have conversations, there's some proof in there. Governor Haley has not released all of the legislative email in her possession. Not to say in any way that there would be proof there, but from a journalistic perspective, again, for any folks in the public who may have a question as to why we continue to pursue this, our job is to ask questions without taking sides. And so those emails exist. There are other things that Mr. Fox has suggested. Allegations of Governor Haley's chief of staff, Tim Pearson, actually sending I don't mean to put you on the spot,
sending messages,
but a text message of transposing here, but we keep this thing under wraps, man, Haley is going to win. Make of that what you will, however, questions. And so, again, to the people of South Carolina, we're here to ask questions for you. Let us know how we do. We work for you. We don't work for politicians. And so really it's your opinion and your input that we value. Please, MidlandsConnect.com, our website, give us your comments. Come to our Facebook page. Come to our Twitter page. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want us to cover. Tell us if you think we're doing things well. Tell us if you think we can do things better. We work for you. We want to hear from you, and we appreciate you. So thank you.
Guys, once again, thank you very much. Pub Politics Live this week.
6 o'clock tomorrow night at Tin Roof. We got Senators John Scott and Ray Cleary, who were the subcommittee members on the voter ID bill. So it should be
a lively show.
Yep.
And the website again.
PubPoliticsLive.com.
And Brian, again, thank you for coming by.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, back to you.